One of my ambitions for 2024 is promoting myself from a Category D Zwift racer to a Category C Zwift racer. Reality is that in shorter, flatter Zwift races, I'm relatively competitive, but Zwift races with climbs, I'm not very good at because of my weight disadvantage. And in long races, I don't necessarily have the endurance yet. Now to improve, I'm combining basic Zone 2 training with some races every now and then. Today, I'll show you some of these races. Our first race is once again a long race. 14 laps of the Glasgow Crit Circuit, so around 42.4 kilometers. And every lap includes a climb. The climb kicker, it's only 300 meters long, but it's still punchy. Thing is, in previous races, my strategy was pretty straightforward. Hold on to Group 1 as long as I can. Problem is, when I dropped, I was so empty that every person that dropped before me would pass me. That's how I ended up last. This will sound weird, but today I'll try to drop earlier, before I reach my absolute limit, so I can simply beat the riders that dropped before me. Anyway, I just don't want to finish last. Let's see if it works.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
After a pretty good start, 10 people dropped from Group 1, yet I was still there. But then the first client kicker arrived. At the top I was barely holding on. And a bit later, the elastic snapped. I won't lie, I was planning to drop strategically in this race, but definitely not this early. After one lap, I was dropped. Currently in 33rd position, which means 11 riders are still behind me. Fast forward towards the last lap in the race. With multiple riders still behind me, I was definitely not finishing last. But I was bored, so I waited on the rider behind me and challenged him for the final sprint. Most importantly, I did not finish last. But let's be real for a second, to be remotely competitive on hills, I need to lose more weight. Anyway, just like my last video, that race was part of the Vertislow 4 Endurance Zwift League, which has now ended. But throughout December, from the 10th until the 31st, they're hosting a new league, the Vertislow 4 Endurance Holiday League. Every Sunday, there's a race available on 2 time slots, 10:45 AM and 6 PM, European time that is. If you want to join one of the races, you can register through the link in the description. There's no need to re-register if you already registered for their previous event. I'll be joining too, so can't wait to see you in the race. Anyway, my next race is a shorter race, around 20 kilometers with 10 laps of the downtown Dolphin route, including the prime climb. In this race, I compete against riders that are actually around my level with an FTP up to 2.5 watts per kilo, so let's have some fun.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
A shorter race means a more explosive start. Honestly, I forgot about that, and I completely missed the first group. Four laps later, the race situation was still the same, but we were close enough to Group 1 to smell them.
Yes, Feather, there we go. Ah, we caught them. Woo!
I was finally back in a position where I could compete for top 10. It would all come down to the final lap.
Ah, fuck. What a race, man. I love these crits, actually. I really enjoyed them. My biggest mistake was very early on at the start because I'm so used to these longer races that I wasn't prepared for the absolute blast of a start and I missed the split. So an entire day of chasing, but I enjoyed it. That's the most important part. I feel like I was competitive, unlike in the actual long 50-kilometer races, and can't wait to do another one.
Anyway, lastly, I want to try a race from Zwift Academy 2023, and it's actually one of my favorite routes on Zwift, the cobbled climbs in Richmond. Libby Hill followed by 25th Street, finishing at the top of Governor Street. Only 9.1 kilometers. Honestly, I just want to feel competitive, so I'm gonna give it my absolute everything. One of the reasons I really wanted to ride this specific race is because it's got so many people in it. Whatever happens at the start, I do want to be in Group 1, because after 2 kilometers there's a descent where I can recover. Okay, let's get ready. This is going to be an explosive start. Let's go. Opposite to what I expected, the start actually wasn't explosive, and I made it to the descent in Group 1. But then it was time for the first climb.
I went a bit too hard on the climb.
And then the next climb arrived.
Fuck this, man. I'm perishing. And now I get fatter after the hill. Thank you, game. Thank you.
On the last hill to the finish, I tried to stand my ground, but I had completely imploded, eventually finishing 42nd only.
The first half of this race went perfectly. I felt so good. In the first group, I was ready. On Libby Hill, I felt so strong, but the second I topped that climb, I realized, damn, I went way too hard on this climb because it backfired instantly. By the time I reached the final climb, I could barely pedal 100 watts. It's... man, I've never exploded this much on Zwift.
Honestly, the results of this race were pretty disappointing, despite the fact that I felt really strong on Libby Hill. Getting over that climb near the best riders, I never thought I could do that. And yeah, a lot of riders passed me afterwards, but it's always important to remind myself of the big picture. Improving myself isn't about comparing to others, it's all about being a tiny bit better than yesterday. Anyway, that's it for this video. In the next one, we're gonna climb Alpe du Zwift for the first time ever. I can't wait to see you there. Goodbye.